And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around your real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, private investigation, electric, and so much more. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show and the Consumer Quarterback Show, where our number one goal is to educate, entertain, enlighten, engage in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, I want you to pull out your smartphone and save our Consumer Advocate Hotline number in your phone. It's 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. And we want you to bookmark realestateradiotampa.com. That's our website, blog site. You have a lot of information there. You can see all of our Platinum MVP Realty listings, as well as links to all of our expert contributors, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region of Florida that we've assembled to help entertain, educate, help you win in a marketplace. And we want to make you more street smart out there. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. And we've put together this show as a consumer advocate platform. And this segment is brought to you by my health team. Part one of the health team is consisting of Michael Vogt. He's an expert massage therapist here in Tampa Bay with Back in Health Massage, voted top 10 massage services in Tampa Bay, as voted by the Tampa Bay Business Journal's Best in the Biz Awards. Part two of my health team is a shout out to Ray Milton with Ray's Vegan Soul. He's a health chef, awesome meals that he cooks for me each week, brings them in, and we're able to, live that healthy lifestyle throughout the week and stay out of those fast food restaurants. And so what else do you have in this world if you don't have your health? So important to eat right and take care of your body, especially as an ex-athlete here. I'm a former USF football player. I played on the inaugural football team at USF. Go Bulls. And let's go ahead and round the horn here, make our introductions. And we've got in studio here MJ Martinez, private investigator, Advantage Unlimited Investigations. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you, Brandon.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in. Let's hit that mic right there. Second one up. We got MJ Martinez, private investigator, Advantage Unlimited Investigations, corporate, criminal, civil, statewide, nationwide, international investigations. So private investigator, welcome in the studio.
Thank you, Brandon.
Excellent. Good to have you here, as well as Manny Polizzi, Electric Today, longtime friend of the program, expert contributor in the areas of electrical and air conditioning. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you, Brandon, for having us again here today. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of maintaining your panel, which is the heart of your home. So we'll give you some good tips on that later on in the show.
That's right. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming in the studio today and bringing these nuggets of advice for our listeners out there. We want to entertain, educate. We want to give you these consumer advocate tips, things to do, things to avoid throughout this show. And real excited to have MJ here in studio, private investigator. And it's just an interesting topic, man. The first time we met, the first couple times we've had conversations, there's so many questions, so many misnomers I want to get into. But why don't we just start with, what in general, private investigation, what comes to mind? What are you helping people with?
Well, private investigation is a pretty broad and interesting topic for discussion for many people, but it's a professional career choice, essentially.
Yep.
Many people that are in the business come from various types of backgrounds. It's presumed that many people are from law enforcement, and many people are, but some people come from other areas of professional backgrounds in medical fields and insurance and things of that nature, just various types of skill sets. There's a variety of services that private investigators offer to people, and we'd like to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's jump right into it. I think, number one is a lot of times you think about the cheating spouse or boyfriend or something. I mean, that's got to be a big part of the business, I think. That's,
the most salacious topics of discussion. Everybody likes to hear that. They watch TV and they see the events that unfold and whatnot, but it's one of the most riskiest ends of the business.
Right.
And it definitely requires a certain skill set to be able to handle those types of cases. I've got multiple years of experience in this regard. So as far as stories go, I got many.
Yeah.
Many I have to take to my grave.
Yeah, right.
But we can talk in generalities about why you might want to hire an investigator for that type of service, and when it might be appropriate.
Right. Yeah. You start noticing different behaviors with your loved one, your spouse. They're going to the gym more. I mean, some of the telltale signs, and it's going to lead down to potentially hiring a private investigator. And like you said, it's important that you hire someone that understands the intricacies of how to properly tail someone without being made, because then boom, the cover's blown. Correct.
It really starts from the very, very beginning. From if we're talking about infidelity or relationship types of cases, I often wish when clients call me, they've almost dropped the ball right out of the gate because they've confronted the potential partner or the partner, right, whoever they've had some event that's created some suspicion, and they've been only able to maintain or suppress their feelings for so long, and then they kind of blow up.
Yeah.
And then they call an investigator to try to analyze and put together the pieces of the puzzle when that person's already now covering their tracks as much as possible. So what I always tell people, if I can reach them in advance or convey, if you look at my website, there's information on there about how to, if you're going through these types of things, to try to remain as calm as possible.
Right.
If you're trying to detect information that's hard to detect, you need to become much more even keeled, as if nothing is
poker face, right?
Yes, exactly. I tell them it's poker all day long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it goes on into, because a lot of times it leads to child custody, divorce. There's different things that you're seeing, insurance.
Sure. Yeah, they're all, as far as investigations go, there's many facets of this type of field, all different types of specialties. I have 30-plus years experience in the industry, from law enforcement to private practice, and so I know I'm pretty much an expert in most areas of investigations.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What licenses or training are required for this type of field?
State of Florida requires now, if you have no experience, you have to intern under a licensed investigator. There's several licenses. There's a CC intern license, and there's a C license, which is essentially after 2 years of training under the tutelage of a licensed investigator, then you're considered good to practice. Although there's other licenses for agency licenses. You can't solicit work unless you're an agency and whatnot. There's also many investigators come from security backgrounds, so they may have security licenses or bonds licenses or gun permit licenses,
right,
varying types of licenses. So as far as that goes, many investigators have, to practice in the state, they have to be licensed, and if you're soliciting business, you have to be bonded so that you're insured for any kind of events that might occur. So,
that's great. Yeah, because the bond is going to come in if the company goes bankrupt, and there's that
right,
bond that's in place for that. But yeah, another thing to think about is a lot of folks, like you said, are previous law enforcement, so they kind of have that advantage, or potentially ex-military. I'm sure you see some
correct,
of those.
Correct. Yeah. Many types of people come in. Sometimes it's interesting that the law enforcement background for the private investigation field, it may not necessarily be the best fit, because when you were working under the guides of a law enforcement, having a badge, a uniform, you have that presence. When you're in private investigation, you're pretty much on your own.
Wow.
And you don't have the protection afforded to you.
Right.
Typically, you're working on your own by yourself.
Right.
In similar types of socioeconomic locations, you can be in many dangerous, but you don't know the mindset of the people that you're investigating typically. So,
right.
Many things can occur. You have to be. That's where you're. where your background and your experience come into play, being comfortable, or just being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk more about that. If we're talking about a private investigation, different areas where it might be, we're going to talk about maybe some corporate applications for your business as well. More with MJ Martinez, private investigator here in Tampa, AdvantagePI.com. AdvantagePI. We're going to also hear from Manny with Electric today, and we're going to talk about the AC, the electrical, things that you can do, seasonally appropriate advice, things to help you live a better life, avoid a lot of nonsense out there in the mainstream media, and make you more street smart. One listener at a time here. So stay with us. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, and a top listing agent in Tampa Bay. Featured in Florida Realtor Magazine, Tampa Bay Business Journal, Tribune, and others recognized for innovations with marketing, helping our sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties. And we are in a lack of inventory market here in Tampa Bay. Just a heads up, if you're a potential seller looking to sell, there's a lack of inventory. You may be able to get a number that you may not understand is reasonable to you because there's so much buyer push out there, demand on the buyer side, and not many properties available. So, and we are going into the hottest month right now in June here, with the real estate sales being very high this month. So if you're out there considering it, we want you to reach out to our hotline at 813-917-1894 and give us a call at 813-917-1894.
Welcome to my house.
And I also want to remind you, I want to direct you to Amazon. Take a look at our book here. We've got the Real Estate Quarterback's Consumer Advocate Playbook out there, and we've got a foreword written by Tom Hopkins, as well as Chris Brogan, owner of Media Group. And back here live from iHeartRadio, beautiful South Florida here, sunny and 75. And this segment is brought to you by the Smart Move Moving and Storage, the official moving partner of the Real Estate Quarterback Show. Shout out to Hannah and Chris over at Smart Move Moving and Storage. And we're back here in studio. We're going to talk with Manny Polizzi. The first segment we've heard from MJ Martinez, private investigator here in Tampa Bay, AdvantagePI.com. And a reminder, all of our expert contributors are found on our website at realestateradiotampa.com. Just click on the expert contributors tab, and you'll see all their contact information there. And we're going to shift gears now. We're going to talk with Manny from Electric Today, service today without delay. Welcome back in, sir.
Thank you, Brandon. And we're Electric Today. We do electrical and air conditioning work in your existing home or business. So let's talk about the heart of your home. The heart of your home is your electrical panel, where your breakers are, where your fuses are. Hopefully you don't have fuses, but where your breakers are that runs everything in your house. And when things don't run right in your house, and generally it comes from your panel. You could have lights flickering. That could be a bad breaker. Things don't work, which is a tripped breaker or a bad breaker. So one thing that you can do in your home is to keep that panel maintained so that you don't have these problems, and maintain this panel so that prevents you from larger repairs later on. So what you could do in your panel, first of all, with the cover on, you could actually touch the breakers, feel them from the outside. If one is warmer than the other, then it's an indication that you're having an overload or a possibility of a breaker going bad. Mm-hmm. And what you should do, you should get a qualified electrician to check the inside, which on the inside, we'll just do a visual check, see if anything's discolored, which means you're overloading something again, and or loose connections. We'll go through and tighten up all the screws that hold down the wires. That's a big problem. They do come loose from heating and cooling all the time. So we could check that. And sometimes on the newer homes or any new installation, sometimes an electrician will put the wire in there and they'll do a whole bunch of work before you get to come back sometimes. Mm-hmm. So really, that's why we always try to double check our work all the time. But it happens, and that could cause flickering and burning of your wires. So anytime you have a loose connection, it's arcing, creating heat, and you're paying a little bit extra on your electric bill for that. So a little bit of maintenance could help you even save money in the long run, other than repairs.
Yeah, interesting. So it's arcing, and that's creating that extra heat. That's because it's trying to make that connection.
Yes, it's trying to make that connection, and it's also doing damage at the same time. It's burning away the terminal or wherever it is, and also causing you money. That's right.
Yeah. Interesting. And so it is the heart of your home, is that electric panel. And I remember on a previous show you recommend just shutting them all off at one point every so often.
Another tip you can do is you can exercise your breakers. And if you leave them on and you have some heavy loads, especially your air conditioners or your water heater, things like that have a heavier load, they'll just get overheated, and they might get stuck at times. Mm-hmm. So what you can do, you can exercise them. At least once go through your panel and shut everything off, turn it back on. It only takes a couple of minutes. Exercising the breakers could make them last a little bit longer. Clean off those contacts.
Right.
And throughout your house, a lot of people go through, they do remodeling, they add things to their home. I need an extra outlet here, extra outlet there. A lot of people have in-home offices that they'll add a whole bunch of equipment, computers and stuff that do bring on a heavier load, which is overloading maybe that one circuit. The bedroom is now an office. You're using more power. So You should have someone come in and maybe run an extra circuit to relieve the stress on your whole system or on that one circuit. So that would help out also.
Yeah, it's going to make it more effective, more efficient, and save you money in the long run, ultimately. And, when we think about Electric Today, we think about fast service, we think about Manny, and also with the seasonally appropriate advice. Right now we're going into the storm season, so you've got storage protection, things to think about.
Yeah, we're getting into the storm season where, all the additional surges from the power company, from the storm, is really taking a toll on your electrical system in your home. So if you have a panel that you keep adding to, you might consider upgrading it or replacing it with a newer one or a larger one that'll in the long run help you save money, because the most important thing about your panel is your distribution. It doesn't matter what size it is. If you break up the circuits a lot of times with more breakers, then that helps an awful lot. But you should have it sized appropriately for the amount of load that you're bringing into the home. You know, people move into homes to add swimming pools. They add pool heaters,
right,
which is a very large item to add to that service.
Yeah,
and that usually they're constantly running in the off season. You know, so surge protection will help that. Surge protection will help that fluctuation of the power going up and down, and try to hold it at an even pace. So that even pace will keep everything regulated and help you along with not the wear and tear on your system.
Yeah, and yesterday's show we had Jay with Ace Snoop Inspection, as well as Jeremy Wolins, JW Assurance, and we were talking about the electrical issues that could potentially happen when you're looking to buy a home. Sometimes, a little bit older properties with the aluminum wiring and the knob and tube. Do you want to speak to that for those potential buyers out there?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that the home inspectors will look at, even in brand new homes. I know of a couple people who have told me we hired a home inspector while our brand new house was being built, and caught a few things that were going on there that potentially could have been a problem later on, like a maintenance issue.
Yep.
But if you're buying an existing home or selling an existing home, you have a home inspector in there, they'll find things that aren't exactly right or have aged with time. Not that anybody did anything wrong, but a lot of times just they've aged with time that they could pick up and find that you should correct immediately so that nothing else will go wrong, and less money. They'll get them fixed for you so it doesn't cost you any money on your maintenance.
Yeah, you want to get that inspection done up front, find out
Right.
what issues are underlying. There's so many things that could happen with a potential home, and then you're dealing also, you're coordinating a mortgage that's in place. You've got the home warranty considered. Do you add a home warranty? Do you not? There's a lot of things to consider. So, Manny, are you seeing a lot of the properties right now? Because some of the older inventory, it's still there, and it's still being kind of upgraded slowly over time here in the Tampa Bay market, St. Pete, Clearwater, Bradenton, Sarasota. These properties, there's still deferred maintenance out there with some of these properties.
Well, a lot of them are. And right now, with the economy right now, people are spending money. They're upgrading their homes. They want their house to look nice, but you also have to, what's behind the walls, what's behind the scenes, you have to upgrade also. And a lot more people are doing that now, and we're helping them along with that. So if you have an older home, you should always keep up with the maintenance. Check your outlets, check your switches. If you hear them clicking, that means that they're starting to loosen up, and you're hearing that contact. You shouldn't really hear that snapping when you flip a switch, or any kind of crackling. When you plug anything into your outlets, they should stay in there. They shouldn't fall out. And it should be a little bit firm. You know, you should feel a little firmness in there when you plug something in and unplug it. And if not, it's a little bit loose, and that's from wear and tear. And eventually, like I said, it's going to make your cord start to feel warm. It's going to start arcing in there to burn up your outlets and make for a poor connection, and eventually cost you more money.
Yeah, and the air conditioning right now, we're going to that heat, man. That heat is coming.
Yeah,
so there's some things you can do on the
AC.
AC.
Now, from swapping systems over from heat to cold now,
Yep.
That's the best time to do your annual inspection or a tune-up on your unit.
Right.
Because we found in 2 cases where we went from heat to cool, something malfunctioned in the air conditioner, and in 2 cases, the little relay that transfers heat to cool, it stayed on. So the people running heat and air at the same time,
Wow.
You don't really feel it a lot. You might feel, well, it's not as cold as it used to be, but it's still blowing cold air out, but their electric bill doubled.
Wow.
So that's one thing that we do check, and we have a whole list of things that we could check for AC, but that's the most important one. Get your annual tune-up where we could check these items to make sure it's working properly first.
Let's go over that when we come back. We're going to go through that list of things to look at, some nuggets of advice from Manny with Electric Today, Service Today without delay, as well as more from NJ Martinez, private investigator, AdvantagePI.com. So stay with us. The best is yet to come. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, RealEstateRadioTampa.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes, host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show. This segment is brought to you by Cornerstone PEO and my friend Greg Arnold, Payroll Compliance. They can help you with all the payroll and compliance issues. Cornerstone PEO. Shout out to Greg Arnold. Does a great job over there. And you run your business, and he'll run the back end of it, help with the payroll, the compliance, all those other types of employment type scenarios. Cornerstone PEO does a great job. And before we jump back in this great content, I got a couple of hot listings I want to talk about. I got a 414 South Royal Palm Way beach property here, beach park property at 414 South Royal Palm Way, $1.195 million, and it's listed at it's over 4,800 square feet, listed at $1.195 million. Distinguished South Tampa home, beach park home with appeal to the most discerning taste. Steps away from Swan Park. Beautiful estate-style home, large pool in the backyard, fenced-in backyard, and a great buying opportunity. And also 8203 U.S. Highway 301 south in Riverview. This is a commercial listing we just took in. It's $650,000, and it's over a half an acre, over 0.7 acres there. A lot of parking for about 30 spaces. It's currently set up as a restaurant. Could be a bar, could be, whatever you want. It's a lot of frontage there, a lot of drivers by, and also another beautiful single-family home here at 5722 Tanagerside Road in Lithia, Parkside Village property, 4 bedrooms, 3 full bath, and it is listed at, which is at a reduction. It's right around $450 for this property. It's in the Fishhawk Lifestyle, Fishhawk Park Beachside Village without CDD or high HOA fees because of the way that this property was developed. So for this or any of our questions, any other real estate listings, check out realestateradiotampa.com. And we're back here in studio. I'm going to talk to MJ Martinez, private investigator, Advantage Unlimited Investigations Inc., AdvantagePI.com. So in the first segment, we kind of talked about some of the most common reasons why and that you hear about, or maybe sensationalized reasons why. But let's jump into some other reasons why you might want to hire a PI.
Sure. There are some specialized areas where people probably might want to consider hiring an investigator, particularly in business transactions. Many times or oftentimes people get into business based on emotion.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily do their due diligence to find out the business practices of the people that they're potentially getting into business with.
Yeah.
A lot of times that information is readily available and they didn't take advantage of it. Next thing you know, they're in court spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to recoup losses that could have been prevented or at least identified going into the transaction.
Yeah, it's interesting. You think about that in this Google world we live in. You can type some stuff in Google, but it's not going to tell you what you can find out. You're going to be able to follow some folks around, find out, what their daily activities are, and there's all kinds of skeletons in closets.
Sure. Yeah, social media and the internet is a wonderful tool to ascertain information. You have to use it basically for what it's worth. Mm-hmm. Not all it's accurate. A good investigator is highly skilled in researching public records. Also, most or pretty much all licensed investigators have access to databases that typical or similar to what law enforcement might have access to. There's data that's out there that could, not be uncovered, but through a private investigator. So, as I said before, it could definitely identify red lights that might be important when you're considering going into business with different types of entities.
Yeah, and when we were kind of talking before the show as well, we talked about these maybe a pharmaceutical company or a different type of a business that might want to keep an idea if they have a personal car or a business car. They want to keep tabs on some of their employees. Correct.
Yes, many investigators have access to tracking devices. There is legislation that's on the books now which kind of restricts some of the use of them, but most private investigators are knowledgeable in what areas they can use them, what they can't. Typically, employees or your property is protected, so you can use it to monitor and track your own property.
Yeah,
it's beneficial. We've used trackers and large companies, corporations have used private investigators for employee thefts, misuse of property, all kinds of things that you can identify through investigation.
Yeah. Now, you also get into personal protection, bodyguard type services as well?
Correct. Just based on my background in law enforcement, and a lot of investigators and military and whatnot have specific training in bodyguard and personal protection for all kinds of people, all kinds of reasons that people might need it. Doesn't necessarily have to be the upper echelon client, with $10 billion. It could be pretty much anybody, just depending on what their need is. Sometimes people have stalkers that have been harassing them in many different levels, so they'll hire an investigator to monitor what may or may not be going on and document it.
Yeah, that's a big one too. I bet for some of the females out there that especially coming out of high school, college, early, they're kind of living in their own household on their own. What a trying time, transitioning time for some of these young gals.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Given the world that we live in with the social media, the way people can insulate themselves through application processes and whatnot, there's all types of method of detection in these types of cases. So it takes somebody who's trained to kind of observe and identify it. Then you can bring some of these people, to justice in future litigation.
Yeah. If you just joined us, we're talking with MJ Martinez. He's a private investigator here in the Tampa Bay market, AdvantagePI.com. And yeah, MJ, it's interesting. It's such an interesting area. It's it's definitely a a step outside the box when you start thinking about, ways and applications of a private investigator. And it's really, it's a smart move to look at your potential, if you're looking at a long-term relationship, you're looking at a business partner, you're looking at folks that are working for you, driving company vehicles. There's a lot of different applications for this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going even further, in family court, domestic litigation with divorce, child custody, alimony, all those things are on the table. Those are all significant monetary outlays that parties are going to have to be faced with,
right?
Coming out of relationships. So I always tell clients, the money that you expend right now could save you insurmountable amounts of money in the future, down the line. So, everybody you don't want to live in the past, but you have to prepare and go forward. I always tell people, don't hesitate, investigate.
There you go.
If you
That's a good slogan. Don't hesitate, investigate. There you go. That's a good tagline.
Yeah.
Now, I know you can't say names and all that good stuff, but can you give us something good? Can you give us something juicy, man? Come on.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot give any names. I mean, private is the operative word in the in the professional. There's an honor, there's a code, there's law that restricts us discussing anything about the activities that we do.
Right.
That makes clients feel comfortable.
What about some hypotheticals, though?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been involved in matrimonial cases, where they're high profile people, and obviously they absolutely would not want to have their dirty laundry aired in public, and I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. It's just a matter of people ask me typically like a criminal attorney, how can you represent that person knowing they might be guilty or not guilty, but you don't once you assess the client intake information, when you take the case, you essentially wear that burden on your back.
Yeah.
And I try to tell that to clients, that I carry your problem through the process, and I feel like I should be a licensed therapist at this point, because
I'm with you,
because you have to counsel people through their emotions through this whole entire process. They're receiving information in real time a lot of times, and you don't know what they're going to do on the other end. Hopefully they're going to listen to you and get it through and get to the end and be in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the same, like a counselor slash grandson or son in some cases. But some of these, the real estate transactions I'm in, I'm coaching people through it and trying to help people through the process.
Absolutely.
And, being that educational type of a real estate agent when it comes to that, and and I'm sure with yours it's even more in depth, and it's. It's tough. We can't answer our phone all the time. We try to, and we'll try to do a quick response via text if we can. But we can't always be available. But that's one of the things we take pride in, and I know all of our partners do is having that consultative approach, that educational approach to their business, and helping the consumers out there in the Tampa Bay market, and so it's. It's an interesting field, a lot of interesting content there, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk more with Manny with Electric today as well, and we're going to hear some more of our nuggets of advice from MJ Martinez, private investigator, and we're going to go through our lightning round. So the top consumer tips, things to do, things to avoid when we come back. So stay with us. The best is yet to come. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show here on iHeartRadio, and talk to you soon.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Real Estate Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, top listing agent in Tampa Bay. And this segment is brought to you by the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. Shout out to the Maids. You see their yellow and blue branding on their vehicles running around. The Maids are referred for a reason. And we're back here in studio talking with MJ Martinez, private investigator, AdvantagePI.com, as well as Manny Polizzi with Electric Today. And before we jump back into this great content, I got a couple of listings I want to talk about and kind of give you a sample of the real estate market here in Tampa Bay. We got 1209 North Fort Harrison Avenue in Clearwater in Pinellas County. This is a great business opportunity. It's a zone commercial, and it's got a rectangular shot, just under half acre. It's got a small building on it. It used to be a gas station. It's all cleaned out as far as EPA and things like that. $269,000 for 1209 North Fort Harrison. And we also have 0 Point Seaside Drive in Crystal Beach. This is a great lot. It's on the Ogden Bayou waterfront property, vacant land surrounded by million-dollar homes, multi-million-dollar homes here, and it's only $299,000, just reduced over $150,000 is 0 Point Seaside Drive in Crystal Beach. A great buying opportunity, vacant land. And we also have another vacant lot, 5603 East Longboat Boulevard in Tampa, Bayside East subdivision. It's in the Bayport division, gated community here in Tampa Bay. 5603 East Longboat Boulevard, $189,000 buys you one of the last lots available in Bayport. You got a water view up front. You got a conservation view in the back. So it's a great buying opportunity for this or any of our consumer questions you may have. Links to all of our expert contributors. Check out realestateradiotampa.com. So, Manny, before the break, we were talking about some of the maintenance tips for controlling your number one user of electric and your dollars per se is your air conditioning unit.
Yes, your air conditioning unit in your home is the largest consumer of electricity that you have running there. So why not maintain it? We should maintain it to run maximum efficiency so that you get everything you're paying for out of that unit. And then to prevent lower repair bills.
Right.
So if you get an annual maintenance done on it, it'll certainly help you there with those two items: maximum efficiency and lower repair bills.
Yeah.
And a couple things that you can do. A couple things that the homeowner should do frequently, like at least every month, is change your filter. Mm-hmm. And people hear that all the time: change your filter, change your filter. But that is the most important thing you can do to help not clog up your coils, not clog up your fan wheel and all that stuff. So that's a couple things that we can do. But when we do a maintenance, we do check your filters anyway and make sure you got the proper one in there so it's sealed and just the dust goes into the filter. The fan, we check the coils that are inside there. If they get full of dust, they get warm and they don't cool like they should. The fan motor that's in your unit inside, it's just like a big wheel, and if it collects dust in there from the filter being bad, it'll slow down the airflow, and you'll get a lot less cooling from that. So that's another thing we check. And we'll clean and check the fans and the coils, and the capacitors, which is a very important thing. Our AC techs were talking about that at a meeting this week at work. To everybody else, have them check the capacitors, because if they're not functioning properly, your fans aren't going to start as quick and won't be as efficient. Also, everything that's not efficient costs you money.
That's not the same capacitor that old Doc Brown was talking about on Back to the Future, is it? The flux capacitor?
No, but it's on the same principle, though. It gives your motors a boost to get them started a little bit quicker. So we're not going to use it in our car, but we'll use
1.1 gigawatts or so.
Yeah, he's got some high-powered stuff going on there to do time travel. But if we could figure out a way, we'd do it too. But I don't think that's coming here soon from us anyway.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
But there's some things that you can do, though. You could put a soft start on your inside motor, on the fan motor on the inside unit, so that it gradually ramps up and doesn't give you that surge at the beginning, which of course saves you money. And then a hard start on your compressor outside, because the compressor is under pressure at all times, and when it tries to start, there's pressure there, and it's a little hard for it to get going. And if we install a hard start on there, it makes it start instantly, so you don't have that strain on the compressor. So all those things there that we can do, we'll check all those things to make sure they're working properly. install some of these extra features on your unit if you want to save money, and not only just save money, but have a more efficient unit and make it work the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at real estate property, a lot of times it's the most important asset, the most valued asset that many families have, and the electrical components of that asset is something to definitely take a look at, and you don't want to allow the deferred maintenance happening with your assets. So let's go ahead and jump into our lightning round. All right, the lightning round, top consumer tips, things to do, things to avoid. MJ Martinez, private investigator, Advantage PI. You're up.
Hey, thank you again. As I said before, if you're considering getting into a business contract or business venture with entities that you're not 100% sure about, or there's other factors, do your due diligence. Hire an investigator. It'll definitely pay dividends in the end, and give you the peace of mind that at least you did every single thing going into possible to prevent any kind of problem that you may or may not see.
Yeah, smart move. It's a smart move. Let's take that step and take a look at what you're potentially setting up as a failure. You could find out early in the process, cut your losses. Manny, top consumer tip: things to do, things to avoid.
Well, things to do are do your AC tune-ups, do your home inspections for your electrical system. Also, between $100 and $200 for a service will save you anywhere from $900 and up in repairs.
Very cool. All right, round two, top consumer tips, nuggets of advice.
Don't hesitate, investigate.
Yeah, I like that one.
Keep pounding the drum.
I like that one.
Right?
Yeah.
We also do a lot of other things with electronics, computer and cell phone detection. There are spyware and things of that nature that can be placed and implemented on computers or on your cell phone, on your tablet. Investigators are trained in detecting this information and can possibly, stop any harassment or insecure information that you may have being.
There's ways that people can track you, like that they install something on your phone, they can send a feed to another device.
Correct.
Wow. Interesting. Here's my phone. Check it out for me. And Manny, what else? Top consumer tip nuggets.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like to say. Some top consumer advice here. We're in the service business, and one of MJ's services he provides is background checks for employees.
Right.
Which is very important. And you should always hire a contractor who does background checks.
Good
and
point.
Know who's coming to your home, and always get a referral from somebody you know, and hire a licensed contractor.
Right. Yeah. Licensed, bonded, insured, making sure they have those in place. Great idea. Get that background check done on potential employees. Folks running out there representing your company. It's a great point. You want to talk about background checks?
Could I interject? Yeah. A little bit is, especially if you're going into a real estate transaction to a property, if you're an investor.
Yeah.
An investigator can determine more, maybe even more so, the demographics of that location as far as crime, neighbors, that information that you may find beneficial later on.
You don't want to get stuck with a bad neighbor, yeah.
Later on, that had you known that moving into that location, you might not have moved into that location, and then you have to turn around and try to sell your property, or vice versa, and it just makes an issue where an investigator could have identified some data that may definitely a benefit.
Interesting. Yeah, you think about the amount of unfortunately it's a negative thing, but you've got the registered offenders.
Correct.
You got the sexual offenders. You do checks on that, and so there's things to look at, and that's the goal of this show is we want to have you think a layer deeper. Help you understand the decisions that you make today are going to affect your future.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely, Manny. Another nugget of advice.
Another nugget of advice. Just keep up with your maintenance. Check your outside items. Security lights are pretty big. For those reasons, put some up around the house and get ready for storm season.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out too. We've got some supporting partners as well. I think about John Grant over at Eagle LED Lighting. You might want to take a look at the lighting side. Mm-hmm. Get him out there. Take a look at the LED lighting that he has, the options that he has there. We've got Yeah, your friends Fred and the folks over at the aluminum, put on those buildings.
Right.
The
Yeah.
additional buildings.
All those people, everybody that's associated with the show here, that's some pretty good advice on keep your houses maintained and everything, and things to help you in the different times of the year here.
That's right.
So,
seasonally appropriate advice. We
Right.
take great pride in that. So I want to urge you as a listener out there, send us a text if you're interested in anything you heard today on the show. Our hotline number is 813-917-1894. Give us a call or a text, 917-1894. I want to thank MJ Martinez, private investigator at VantagePI.com, Manny Polizzi, Electric Today, service today without delay. And we want you to go out there and consider making a random act of kindness. We'll see you same place.